This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hey guys, before we start the show, I just felt like I needed to address the elephant in the room. Pretty sad day for the podcast. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. In this last episode of Dynamic Banter, Mike Falzone revealed that Owen he's been dead for 3 years. So being dead, obviously he won't be on the show tonight, and I don't really know if he's going to be back on the show. I don't know how he's been on the show, honestly, and I'm sure this has got you guys thinking, like, I wonder if this means Brett believes in ghosts now, and no, I don't. But I do believe in time travel. Hey guys, welcome back to Talking Banter, the official Dynamic Banter after show. Today we're talking about episode 19, entitled "This Episode is Also About Bees." I'm Brett Register, and with me once again is first time, second time, and only guest host of Talking Banter, Chris McCaleb.
Hello.
Hey man, thanks so much for stepping in.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Permanently.
Permanently.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, look, it's a crazy time for all of us, and I'm glad that we can come together and do this as a team.
Yeah, and I mean, there was definitely discussion about just not doing this podcast anymore, but then this episode came out, and it was like, we have to do a podcast.
Oh, yeah, pretty crazy.
The first episode of this podcast was covering the episode Bees.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems only appropriate.
Right, well, as I know, as a long-time listener, first-time caller, third-time call. Wait, what? Second time, third time?
Well, the first time you were a
keeping
guest,
track?
And then you were a guest co-host.
Oh, man.
And now you're the semi-potential permanent guest co-host.
Are you going to do like a series of trials to try to figure out who's going to be the full-time replacement? Like they did on one of those late night shows that like Letterman. Remember do you know who David Letterman is?
Yes. There was a long discussion on Feels Like the First Time about The Late Show and what the Late Show was.
The Late Show with David Letterman, or that was Late Night with David Letterman. What was The Late Show?
I don't remember exactly, and I kind of don't want to get back into it.
God, we're already off the rails.
I ended up on the wrong side of history with that argument.
Oh shit!
Because our guest was saying his favorite show was The Late Show, and I was like, "Well, which one?" And he's like, "No, The Late Show." Anyway, and then he was saying, he's like, the one that David Letterman used to host. And I'm like, well, that's late night. That's not The Late Show.
The Late Show is with Stephen Colbert.
Oh, man. See, I have no idea. This is a good podcast.
Oh, man. We're killing it already.
People are like, oh, God, I'm so mad Owen had to die.
Yeah, look, you and me both. So what are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about this Dynamic Banter podcast. You don't need to play dumb. So I think what's interesting for the fans
I'm not playing dumb. I was setting it up. I was billboarding.
I started this.
We'll be right back.
After
oh, no. Is that wrong? God damn it.
It's a totally different show. When I started this podcast, it was because I was a huge fan of Dynamic Banter, and it felt like I needed an after show. And then Owen was... He was forced to listen to it because he was there in corporeal form, and we decided to do this podcast together. But what's interesting is you came on as a guest, not being a fan of the podcast, but since being a guest, have become a fan of the podcast.
Totally. Super fan.
Because you're sending me gifts.
Oh yeah, man!
Texting me stuff.
I'm loving. I'm sending little homemade memes of fucking what's his face. God, wow, I couldn't remember his name. The movie critic is just out of my head. Gene Shalit.
Sir,
boat smashems.
Sir, what's his face? Sir, what did you?
Sir Gene Shalit. I mean, I remember I was a big fan of Gene Shalit. I thought I still think he's hilarious and ridiculous, and I loved that podcast. But
Sir,
yeah,
what's,
no, I'm
Sir, what's
totally,
his name? Is the foil? Is the foil of the Sir
Steve.
Texas watch?
I love Falcone. It's great. But yeah, let's get into it.
I don't know if any of that was legible. You have to go back and listen to that twice to hear both sides of that little bit of the podcast. Let's jump into this one.
Sounds good.
What I was saying is, Sir, what's his name? Is the foil of Sir Texas watch, which you totally understand because you're a fan of the podcast now.
Is that a Falcone reference, or which one is that?
That's it's Falcone to... It's Falzone.
Yeah.
Falzone to Elliot Morgan.
Right.
We'll get there. Let's dive in. There's plenty to fish out of this particular episode. So Jesse Stillwell came with the notes again.
Thank you, Jesse.
He gave us the highlighted and green notes, but it's only 4 pages this week, so maybe we'll read more. At 50 seconds, Steve welcomes us to Dynamic Banter, where two boy gentlemen talk about nothing and everything at the same time. And then at 2 minutes, Steve's apartment smells like mops due to a line of mops marching around, which were set in motion by a very large camera crew.
You know, the scenario that they set up is exactly why I don't ever clean my apartment, because I think we've all seen the hit film The Sorcerer's Apprentice, but even before that, we've seen Fantasia, and we saw what happened when you bring mops into a house. A clean house is a dangerous house. Brett, back to you.
Real question. Did they do the mop sequence in The Sorcerer's Apprentice?
If you think that I actually saw all of the live action movie The Sorcerer's Apprentice, you are mistaken. I did. I have friends who worked on it, so I'll tell you, it's a great film. But and I hear the director is a totally super nice guy, which is rare. But didn't see it. Jay Baruchel, who we all love from the 40-Year-Old Virgin, not in that movie. He was in Knocked Up.
Was he not in 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Back to you, Brett.
I wouldn't have questioned that.
Good.
At 4 minutes, Steve brings up Real Media and Real Player, which gives a large portion of the older audience Twitch, including memories of endless buffering and shit quality vids.
The worst. I mean, we're so spoiled with video quality that we have video quality on the shittiest phone that far exceeds anything we ever had, like in the year 2001, 2002, when there were these, when Real Player was the shit. I mean, Real Player was the standard on a lot of these things.
No. It was never the
sure
shit. It was necessary because you got a file that was .ra or whatever, .rm.
No, but it worked. I mean, I'm saying like I had one of my student films was in the Slam Dance Film Festival, and they put the short films online this is really gonna take me back, in the year 2000, which you could, I don't know if you cue the song. Can we license music like the Conan O'Brien in the year 2000?
Yeah, as far as you know.
Okay,
as far as you know, it just played. No, I'll just put it in post.
Both Smashers. And it was Real Player, and it was, I know it sounds like a cliche, but it really was about the size of a postage stamp, and it was about 6 frames a second, and it was totally unwatchable. It was terrible. It was very depressing.
Yeah, I did a thing for MTVU, and they had a film festival at some point. And I did a very similar thing. They put them all online. And I feel like it was a Real Player. I'm looking to see if it still exists online.
Real Player or your student film?
My student film on the MTV site. It looks like it does not, which is good. All right. Again, thrilling podcast. What I hated about Real Player, and for our younger listeners, it was just a really shitty version of QuickTime.
Extraordinarily shitty. Like whenever, if Spotify or Pandora, if it says like limited network connectivity and it sounds like shit, imagine that times 1,000,000 and video.
You can just round up to the
round
nearest.
Down to nothing. It was the worst.
What I hated about it was I hated that they bet big on putting ads on the side of the player.
Right.
So it always took way too long to load.
It still does. I mean, it's still out there.
No, Real One Player.
Listen, I haven't fact checked this, but I mean, if this is just locker room talk that we're doing, right?
Right.
This isn't. You know, we don't have to be held accountable for our statements here.
Right. Except for
talk.
like with less vagina related banter.
Oh, well, we can get into that, but please continue.
I'm really looking now for this short film. I want to know if it's out there because I don't want to leave that part in if it is, because it's real bad.
Oh,
it's a real bad movie.
Someone will find it. Listen. Oh wow, Real Player.
Are you Googling Real Player?
This is interesting. Real Player, on their website, real.com, which, boy, did they get in early. They still have Real Player, but they have a new product called Real Times, which automatically makes video stories from your best photos. So it basically does what, photos or iPhoto, you just make a slideshow, and I guess it'll make... And it does it on the cloud. That seems pretty worthless. I feel like everybody else is doing that already. Real Player, get real.
It's free.
Look, you're right.
Wow, you really can still download Real Player, huh?
I told you, man. It's good stuff.
Boy, only for Windows. Next up, Mike and Steve completely forgot about the Winchester Mansion meetup, which is a no-go because Mike has to go to Canada for Bufferfest. And also because he doesn't seem to want to go to the Winchester Mansion meetup at all.
Do you think it's because he's scared, or do you think it's because he's disrespectful to his fans?
I don't think that... So this was something that me, Steve, and Owen talked about doing because Jamie has never been to the Hearst Mansion. And she wanted to go, and I was thinking maybe we could go around her birthday. And then when is her birthday?
Well, I was gonna ask you that because I'll tell you that my girlfriend is also obsessed with the Hearst Castle.
Her birthday is next week, so we would have to get really on planning. Birthday party invite coming soon. But she wanted to go there, and then Owen mentioned that the Winchester Mystery House, which Steve really wanted to go to, is close by, and you can do both. So for a while, we planned that without looking at a fucking map. And then when we did look at a map, we realized they're pretty far apart.
Yeah, isn't the Winchester Mystery House is in Long Beach, isn't it, or Orange County?
No, it's somewhere. I don't really know, but it's north of here.
Oh, it is north?
Yeah.
Because Hearst Castle is way north.
Yeah, they're both north. I mean, they're not super far away from each other, but it's like 2-3 hours.
But for a Canadian like Mike, he's thinking, oh, that's not that far because Canada is way north.
Well, again, at this point, Mike never weighed in. I'm not super sure that anyone ever talked to Mike about it at all, honestly. And it's so funny that Steve forgot about it because when it got to this part in the podcast, I almost had to pull my car over because I had completely forgotten about it. And this was how I was reminded of it.
That's great. It's good that you get all of your calendar updates from the podcast Dynamic Banter.
So super sorry about that. I don't think it's going to happen for Halloween, but we could always do it later in the year. You ever ladled in the year?
Let me get a look at you.
Oh, fuck. That's how I was going to say hi to you.
I love it. I think about that all the time. All the time.
Let me
get a look at you.
I've started just saying it to people with no context.
You liar.
Yeah. Oh, Chris. Thought you knew me better than that. The sponsor for this week, just real quick, guys. Gotta get the sponsor in. The sponsor for this week is HD DVD Blu-ray DVDs at Arcade Maroon, HMO, PPO, and SAGAFTRA.com. And if you want to get 50% off that order, promo code HBlueray.dvd.com, RKO Speedwagon, RKOSpeedwagon.com.
What was the one? Skipping ahead. What was the one where he was like, B, 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 B?
That's what the episode's named after.
That made me laugh a lot.
Mike begins the butt game when... I love so much. I haven't even read this note, and I love so much about this because as this was happening, I knew they wouldn't stick with it. I knew they wouldn't finish this game.
I'm actually as unclear as Steve was. I am still unclear. In fact, I'm not entirely sure that Steve was ever clear about what the rules of the game. Are you clear? Are you clear about the rules of this game? Because I am
Steve
not.
was playing it correctly, and then I felt like Mike described a totally different game.
Yeah, or I'm not even sure that there was a game to be played in what Mike was saying.
But
but you said but, and then am I supposed to? But
well,
are you supposed to say but, and you're supposed to preempt my butt?
I don't know, but Jesse wrote it out, so we here it is, as presented originally. Whenever either of the boys tells a story, the other gentleman must anticipate and interrupt with "but" to ruin the other gentleman's train of thought. The only rule of the game is that you can't deny or ignore the "but." It is unclear at this point whether or not they will actually play this game.
I don't think that's a game. I think that's just called being a shitty friend.
But
just like preempting what the person's going to say and then to basically stop them from saying it.
But it feels like an improv thing because the other person has to go with the "but."
But no, see, that was
exactly.
Terrible. Good night, everybody.
Listen, before you get out of here, we got a couple more. We got a bunch of notes. We're not on page 2 yet.
Are these notes published anywhere? Or are these private?
They are published on the Reddit feed. Reddit.com. Reddit.com. R slashes between the R's. Dynamic banter. http:// all that needs to go in there. Next up, Steve's apartment is equipped with 2.5 pounds of candy corn, or 1 diabetes. Before we get into the candy corn, I'm realizing, are you asking because you want to read along with me? Because I can just send you this.
Nope, I'm not reading it. I was just looking. I don't know how to use Reddit, guys, and I would really like somebody to explain to me what I'm doing wrong.
We can. It's a totally different podcast.
Guys, where is the porn? I'm just kidding. I understand how to use Reddit. I just like Pinterest. I just don't have room for it in my life. I don't need more distractions. What
if you got rid of one thing? How many things do you have to get rid of to understand Reddit?
All of them. I'd have to get rid of my job, I think, to understand Reddit.
Is that like you don't need Snapchat and Instagram? Like one of those can go.
Well, but they're different. They're different.
I still haven't downloaded Snapchat.
There's no reason. Don't. Your wife has it. I don't need. That sounded creepy. I meant, but all your wife. I mean,
you don't need it because your wife has it.
Your wife. Brett, your wife is here. I don't know what that was. What is happening, guys?
That was super accurate.
Let's get back into it.
Mike tries to play the butt game, but Steve botches it. Breaks the only fucking rule. Steve completely misunderstands the premise of the game, which is to fuck up the other person's story on purpose.
I also misunderstood the premise and did
but it
until
makes
just
sense.
now. It does now.
Mike can't stop eating the candy corn. He keeps making hefty grabs for those sweet sugary boys.
Okay, are we talking about this?
We're in it now. Candy corn is on the table.
They said something.
Candy corn isn't literally on the table.
Okay, good. I don't have any.
We can talk about it. I got candy corn Christmas lights this year, and I love them.
You shouldn't admit that out loud in public.
Well, here's the deal. They're not
That's
shitty.
embarrassing.
They sounded shitty just now. They're not like plastic candy corns. It's in a normal light, but half of it is yellow and the tip is orange.
That's kind of fun.
It casts this really nice soft yellow light.
Okay. All right, I'm back on board.
All right,
it's
good.
kind of like what happens when your iPhone is set to nighttime mode or night shift or whatever that does now.
We're
talking technology.
No idea
It's the
what
technology
you're
corner.
about.
But everybody's got a new iPhone. You guys are with me. You know what I'm talking about.
Do you need a new iPhone, or do you just need to update the OS?
I think it's just the OS thing. It's basically it shifts. It does what there's the thing you can do on your computer, which I can't remember the name of now because why would I? It basically can change the color temperature of your screen throughout the day.
Oh, that's really nice. I think I would use that feature.
It's good, and it basically, it's to help your eyes. And the idea of night shift, we're really on topic here, but the idea of night shift is that the general like daylight color temperature of the iPhone, it's bad for your brain when you're trying to go to sleep, and because the brain it sees that kind of light and it goes, oh, I'm awake, so it's supposed to help you sleep better.
And
that's the idea.
Is it too early?
I have terrible trouble sleeping, so I don't know. But it has nothing to do with the color temperature.
Why do you think that is?
Wait,
why do you think you have trouble sleeping?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out for a long time. Anxiety, maybe.
What do you do other things in your bed other than sleep?
You know it.
But like, like sex? What about work? Do you work in your bed?
I do. I'll work. I do work in my bed sometimes. You can see
I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see all of it.
There is a laptop on my bed right now.
Yeah. You shouldn't do that.
I agree, but but my office at my home, I have an office set up in my bedroom because I only have the one bedroom, and because I'm working with limited space here, and I'm just trying to make things work. I'm just trying to, for America.
How many times? How
trying
many
to make
times a
America
week?
sleep again.
Nice. If I wore that hat to a rally, do you think anyone would even come? Do you think there's one listener of this podcast
I would love that.
would see that cap and be like, well done.
Yeah, at a Trump rally, that seems doubtful. But
what if I got that hat made, Make America Sleep Again, and then went mattress shopping for the rest of the day?
I love that. Please make a video of that and post it onto the HD DVD, Blu-ray, whatever the website is that we're promoting. Make sure that it's on there.
Yeah, you got to have the promo code to see the video.
Yeah.
Mike asks the audience what their favorite shape and flavor of candy corn is. That's going to be the next note after whatever this is.
Oh, no. This is all part of the same thing. Candy corn.
All right.
I think it was Mike who crystallized my feeling about candy corn perfectly. I've never heard it said so exactly, which is the first 2 or 3, you're like, this is the best candy that there is. And then after like 150 of them, because you can't stop, you feel sick. It tastes terrible. You hate yourself. You question all the choices you've made in your entire life. And it's a nightmare. And candy corn, it's a real problem. I don't like it. I love it, but I hate it. And it bums me out. And also, I would go traditional. I don't like the pumpkin ones because I think it's just, they're too big. It's too much. I disagree with
Is there more options
Steven.
other than normal candy corn and the pumpkin one?
Not to my knowledge. I do not recall, Senator.
Can I tell you something about candy corn?
Yes, you can.
I hate it. I think it's so gross. I probably haven't had one.
You've never liked it?
No, I probably haven't had one in like 25 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I had one when I was little, and I still know what it tastes like. Like I can look at it and conjure that taste in my mouth, and I hate it. It's the worst.
So you didn't have any of the 12-pound bag that they got for the late Owen Carter?
No, but I really wanna make sure everyone understands that they're not kidding.
I don't think that they're kidding.
Right, but
I don't find any of what they say amusing. I don't think any of it is a joke.
But it is
It's very
like,
serious.
there tends to be an exaggeration. This is not that. There has been so much candy corn at their apartment. Oh, I'm so glad. It made me so happy that I don't like it, because I would be at least 10 pounds heavier right now. And not just because I'm going to eat 10 pounds of candy corn. I just think it's a slippery slope.
I agree with you.
Next up, Steve searches Google and discovers that candy corn cobs do, in fact, exist. And I sent you, this is the picture I sent you.
I love that picture.
What
And
the fuck is holding this together?
Probably some kind of sugar roll. Some kind of like nougat. Is it nougat maybe?
I don't know.
It
looks like Laffy Taffy or something. Looks like
What?
Ooh,
What is nougat?
fluffy and
Nougat-
delicious.
Within the context of a candy bar, delicious. Nougat, wonderful. On its own, disgusting. Hey, it's just
When
like
do you have it on its
fluffy
own?
sugar. Probably if you get to the bottom of a candy corn on the cob.
Oh,
Nightmares.
you think that's nougat?
That's what I'm supposing. Yeah, I'm
Oh, man, I would've been
positing
so
that
mad.
perhaps it is nougat. Yeah,
I would have had to shovel
wasn't
out
there.
the nougat. What's your favorite?
summer,
What's your favorite
Brett
candy
Register
bar?
is
Let's talk.
the
Let's get
nougat
down to
shoveler.
the real brass tacks. What's your favorite
candy bar all
Yeah,
time?
we got
Butterfinger.
Halloween coming. Really?
Butterfinger, easy. Those bite-sized
You don't feel like it gets
Butterfingers?
in your teeth forever?
Yeah, no, but that's
Bonus?
what? Fuck, I can't remember the terminology. Like that's not a it's a
That's not a
it's
problem.
not a it's not a problem. It's a God damn it.
I think I know what it is, but I'm enjoying
Feature.
this.
It's a feature.
There you go.
It's not a problem. It's a feature. And
Okay.
I think what's great about Butterfinger is that it stays with you. It's the candy that gives back, and it's economical in these in these hard economic times. Sometimes you want to have something that you can eat all day by just having one of.
Oh man,
What's yours?
I mean, because I love. It would be hard for me to not say Reese's peanut butter cups,
Oh, it's pretty good.
but I think at this point in my life, it's peanut M&Ms.
Peanut M&Ms or peanut butter M&Ms?
Peanut.
You're wrong. Totally wrong. Don't agree. I mean, but please tell me why.
Oh, I didn't. Because they're delicious isn't enough. Because it's like
Wrong.
it's a chocolate covered nut, man. It's got a lot going for it. You hit
Fair enough.
3 different textures in eating a single peanut M&M.
I can't argue that.
I was really excited. The next note is ingredients: sugar, corn syrup, and confectioner's glaze.
Oh, man.
Steve has no idea what confectioner's sugar is. Mike seems to know and seems really smug about it.
I agree. I agree with that. There was a smugness to it.
I didn't think he was going to look it up, and I was going to go find out what it is. But I feel like they got to the bottom of it. And just finding out what that is makes me never want to eat anything with it as an ingredient.
Well, good luck.
I'm going to try to not look for it. But if I find out, I'll feel the need somewhere deep inside to just not eat that thing.
You know, that whole conversation, it gave me, because they were so horrified by something that's in a shit ton of our food. And so it got me thinking about things, because a couple of years ago I was thinking about some of these, like I was trying to figure out a way to stop eating all kinds of just garbage and shit.
How'd that go?
Well, it's impossible. I mean, it's not impossible. It's just it's expensive and it's inconvenient. And what it reminded me of their sort of horror that, like, this is in food that we would eat. It made me think of two things. One is cellulose, which cellulose is used. It's a filler. It's made I believe cellulose is made from wood pulp, primarily. I'm not kidding. Cellulose is mainly, I'm looking now at Wikipedia with the source of all truth, but I mean, this is true. Cellulose is mostly obtained from wood pulp and cotton, but wood pulp is where they get a lot of it, the type that we use in food, and it's used as a filler, and it's cheap. And it actually has fiber, dietary fiber, which shows up in, you know, the nutritional facts, and it's a good way to fill out food. You guys can look it up yourselves. It's also in clothes and wood and all kinds of stuff. And the other one is wood or not wood wood alcohol. No, it's something that's in most artificial sweeteners.
Let me get to this next note here, because it's on topic. Steve begins to read the description of confectioner's glaze off of Wikipedia. It's apparently made of shit that girls put on their fingernails to look shinier. Also wood.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane.
Don't put that in your body.
I think what they were mostly upset about is that it's the same stuff you'd put on a table, which is
shellac.
Shellac, right. And I found it interesting where shellac comes from. It is, you know, it's organically derived from animals, right?
I just can't.
Is that organic? That's not organic at all.
We're watching Lost on the other podcast. People love to hear about a third podcast on Talking Banter. But one of my first thoughts while watching Lost was, if they had to really, like, colonize that island and exist there forever, someone would have to learn how to do everything. And it's just like, at some point, someone would have to build shellac, or at least understand enough about science to do that.
How about plumbing? Did anybody ever go to the bathroom on Lost? Ever? And where was that? Where was the latrine?
You know,
this is probably not the right podcast.
Everybody
to talk about
gets their own episode. So when somebody's having an episode, somebody else is taking a dump. Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by 3DDD DVD, R2D2 DVD, Blu-ray.hdDVD.com, iTunes. Coupon code ADBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBBB.
To get an extra 10% off.
How far do you think we're in the show at this point of Dynamic Banter?
Well, all the B's, that came pretty late when they started doing BBBBBBB. That came pretty late, I feel. I mean, this was actually, I think this was a relatively short one too, wasn't it? A mercifully short one. No, it wasn't?
No, well, just none of these sound like an answer to the question.
Oh, you might be right. I don't know. At 40 minutes?
This is not bad. It's 44 minutes and 45 seconds.
All right.
Steve saw cats and wonders if Mike knows what cats is, which Mike does because he's a human being that has been alive for a couple years.
I loved everything about the cats conversation. Everything.
So I've got like a whole story here. So I just want to bang through a couple notes, and that'll give us context.
Jellicle bread. Jellicle, Brett, Jellicle, Brett.
Mike believes that the man is the worst wrestler's nickname ever.
That I was driving and exploded in laughter.
Man,
M-A-H-O-N, but it's pronounced man. Man,
Okay.
man, the man.
Every time Steve told friends he was seeing cats, he received one of 3 answers. No, you're not. A hearty belly laugh, and then in parentheses, Jesse puts, this sounds like Brett Register's answer. Or, why the fuck are you seeing cats? So, specifically about this note, first of all, I took offense to this because he got 4 answers. And the 4th answer was my answer because we were texting about hanging out while we were in New York. And I was going down to see Jamie was in Jersey, and Steve said, I'm going to see cats. And then his next text was, we should hang out after. But before that came, I said, I'm going to New Jersey. So that was the response he got from me about going to see cats.
Wow, that's insightful.
Yeah, we like to bring a little inside information when we can. What are you doing now?
Nothing. I just took a screen grab.
Freaks me out.
So after that totally self-serving 4th answer register answer, Jellicle answer. What else? What did you?
This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hey guys, before we start the show, I just felt like I needed to address the elephant in the room. Pretty sad day for the podcast. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. In this last episode of Dynamic Banter, Mike Falzone revealed that Owen he's been dead for 3 years. So being dead, obviously he won't be on the show tonight, and I don't really know if he's going to be back on the show. I don't know how he's been on the show, honestly, and I'm sure this has got you guys thinking, like, I wonder if this means Brett believes in ghosts now, and no, I don't. But I do believe in time travel. Hey guys, welcome back to Talking Banter, the official Dynamic Banter after show. Today we're talking about episode 19, entitled This Episode is Also About Bees. I'm Brett Register, and with me once again is first time, second time, and only guest host of Talking Banter, Chris McCaleb.
Hello.
Hey man, thanks so much for stepping in.
Yeah, I mean,
Permanently.
Permanently.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, look, it's a crazy time for all of us, and I'm glad that we can come together and do this as a team.
Yeah, and I mean, there was definitely discussion about just not doing this podcast anymore, but then this episode came out, and it was like, we have to do a podcast.
Oh yeah, pretty crazy.
The first episode of this podcast was covering the episode Bees.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems only appropriate.
Right. Well, as I know, as a longtime listener, first time caller, third time call. Wait, what? Second time, third time.
Well, the first time you were a
keeping
guest,
track?
and then you were a guest co-host,
Oh man.
and now you're the semi-potential permanent guest co-host.
Are you going to do like a series of trials to try to figure out who's going to be the full-time replacement? Like they did on one of those late night shows that like Letterman. Remember do you know who David Letterman is?
Yes. There was a long discussion on Feels Like the First Time about the Late Show. and what the show, The Late Show, was.
The Late Show with David Letterman, or I was Late Night David Letterman. What was The Late Show?
I don't remember exactly, and I kind of don't want to get back into it.
God, we're already
because
off the rails.
I ended up on the wrong side of history with that argument.
Oh shit!
Because our guest was saying his favorite show was The Late Show, and I was like, "Well, which one?" And he's like, "No, The Late Show." Anyway, and then he was saying, he's like, the one that David Letterman used to host, and I'm like, "Well, that's late night. That's not The Late Show."
The Late Show is with Stephen Colbert.
Oh man, see, I have no idea. This is a good podcast.
Oh man, we're killing it already.
People are like, "Oh God, I'm so mad Owen had to die."
Yeah, it's look, you and me both. So what are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about this Dynamic Banter podcast. You don't need to play dumb. So I think what's interesting for the fans.
I'm not playing dumb. I was setting it up. I was billboarding.
I started this.
We'll be right back.
After
no, is that wrong? God damn it!
It's a totally different show. Classic.
That's crazy.
Is that really the story?
I mean, I don't know, because they they continued talking as though that was the story, and I guess. Excuse me, listeners. Brett, I don't really care. I guess that you could say that makes both Steve and Mike unreliable narrators, but I can't.
There's a lot of layers.
Be certain. A lot of layers. Yeah, sure.
Well, the next note is Patrick Monroe from Toronto, Canada, brings the show into History Road with a noir tale entitled Flushed.
Real fantastic. I liked it.
It was really amazing. Do you want to talk at all about Jesse's History Road last week? You were very keen on it.
So, somebody must have told him because he tweeted at me. And did you mention it on last week's?
I believe Owen did.
I did. I loved it. It made me laugh really hard. I thought it was really well done, and it was next level. So great job, Jesse.
If you listened to Talking Banter, he reveals that every one of those clips is from the first episode of Dynamic Banter.
Wow.
Yeah. So
there's a lot to pull from for future interview segments.
I think so. That's it for Dynamic Banter. Let's get into emails, because we got a bunch of emails, but we got one email. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times. Same email.
From is it spam?
Nope. It just says letter in the subject, and then later it says letter, bitch. And I was all prepared to not read this, but then I read it ahead of time, and I felt like it was good and worth reading.
Just letter, bitch?
Yeah, with exclamation points.
Now, I can I call you Brett? It's Brett, right?
My friends call me Brett.
Brett.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this is irresponsible to read an email like this? Because it's opening the door, the floodgates, if you will. What are floodgates? Don't you want like a wall instead?
Well, that's a great question.
What the fuck is a gate going to do for a flood?
Is the gate keeping the flood from entering the city? If so, why would you open them? Ever? I guess that's saying it's a terrible thing to do.
And that's kind of my point. Do we really want people being emboldened to send an email that says email, and then it says like, she-mail, bitch, or whatever, And
yeah.
Then we have to have this conversation again.
Well, I appreciate your concern. And
I'm more concerned for you. You're a father.
This isn't my personal email account. So if people want to email, go nuts.
What is the email?
That being said, it made me proofread it, which I usually don't do, because I wanted to see if it was good enough. And it is. So stick with it. This is Kunwar G. He says, I really fucking loved when Owen said in the Tedious podcast, quote, science is how we understand what's around us. Art is how we understand what's inside us. These are the two most important things for how we communicate with each other. It's an important understanding, and if we can all get there, we could probably communicate a little better. And then this is Kunwar. I truly believe this is one of the best quotes anyone has ever said. It's such a basic statement, yet makes sense on so many levels. People should start using this quote like they use other quotes from the likes of other important figures, such as Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, MLK, and Abe Lincoln. Yes, I did just compare Owen to Albert Einstein. But no,
You're
all
still
kidding
reading?
aside, this is still reading.
Okay.
I'll introduce myself again when I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But all kidding aside, I really do admire what Owen said, and I couldn't agree more. Cheers, boys. Take it easy. Hey, this is Brett. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is
I
you,
thought,
Brett Register?
Yeah. From the podcast.
That's a pretty great email.
Talking banter.
Now,
I felt like it was poignant on, we just found out about Owen.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he's sort of like a swan song, like Goodbye, Cruel World.
Like a beautiful way to go out.
Like Charles Bukowski when he said, find something you love and let it kill you.
Yep.
He did. He said that's
that's another quote.
I could be paraphrasing.
Next email, Amelia Pina says, hey guys, loving the podcast, especially the last episode where you guys were talking about movies and Owen was getting really insightful and whatnot. So my question stems from your conversation about movie adaptations. Mainly, what do you guys think was the best movie adaptation of a book, TV show, etc.? She says at the end, my favorite movie adaptation is Catch-22. I think it fits the tone of the book perfectly and did an overall great job putting the novelized moments to screen.
That's a super difficult novel, too. God, that's a really tough question. I'm trying to think of what Owen would say. I'm trying to think of something.
Channel Owen.
Okay, you answer. You think about it while I try to figure out what Owen would say.
Yeah, I feel like my favorite is probably Solaris because that's one of my favorite movies, and I love that book. But it's such a weird one because most people haven't read the book, and I feel like there's two iconic movie adaptations of the book, which is weird. You seen Solaris?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Which one do you think is superior? The Tarkovsky version or the Soderbergh version?
I really like both of them, honestly, and I think that they're different.
They're super different.
The Tarkovsky version is probably the one I've watched more. But I love the Soderbergh version because it has a really great audio commentary with it's just Steven Soderbergh and James Cameron.
What?
And they just sit and discuss Solaris. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because if I remember it correctly, and this might be wrong, but if I remember correctly, basically they had brought it to James Cameron to direct.
Oh, because he was a producer on it.
Right. And he talked to Soderbergh about it and asked him about what his perspective on it would be. And Steven told him his perspective, and Cameron was like, oh, you have to direct this. And so the whole audio commentary is just James Cameron asking him questions about like his decisions in directing.
I need to listen to that.
It's pretty great. It's the reason I still own the Solaris DVD.
I'd also say you'd be hard pressed to find like a better. I'm definitely top 10 scores of all time.
For sure.
It's gorgeous.
Did you find an answer?
Oh, man,
I was
trying to think of something super that under a different lens would sound pretentious, but under this lens would sound endearing and insightful. Because that's, I think, kind of the hallmark of Owen. Like, even when you look at Bree's, the token what is the strong female character, the trailer that they made?
Yes.
It's like, Owen, we get it. You can't pander to women just to try and curry their favor. What's his girlfriend's name, or I mean, it must be a very difficult time for her too, but like, what's her name? Is he just trying to curry her favor?
The hot girl on the roof?
Yeah, exactly. So the point is, I think that Owen would say Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it's the closest a film has come to amalgamizing the indexical complexity of the human condition in chapterized form.
The Shining is also a great one.
It's phenomenal.
Because Stephen King hates it.
Yeah, it's great that he hates it. I think we both listened to How Did This Get Made, and we're talking about another podcast, but that's a big podcast. That's not
This is an after show. I feel like most stuff's on the table. As long as the show has happened.
They did
first.
Dreamcatcher.
Oh, I haven't listened to it yet.
It's great.
I'm really backed up on my subscription feed.
Yeah, you gotta get a job that's super far away from where you live. Like every job I've had for the last 5-6 years.
Oh, see, I'm so close
5
to
years,
WB.
4 years?
I'm so close. I can get
It's
there in
great.
like 10 minutes. I don't think I've read The Shining. I think my understanding of it is
Same.
the movie. Because
yeah,
my
definitely.
brother read it recently, and he's like, I can see why Stephen King would be mad, because it's a totally different story.
Well, because Nicholson starts out he's fucking crazy, like from the jump, moment one.
Mm-hmm.
He's an insane person. Back to you,
And
Brett.
I assume that's not the way in the book.
I mean, yeah, I think the idea is that he sort of like turns into this guy, but from the jump, you're just like, this guy is out of his mind, probably on cocaine, allegedly.
I feel like the longer I think about this, the more of them would become apparent. But I feel pretty solid about Solaris.
I would say, I'm trying to think, some of my favorite movies. It's tough. It's really tough. I'm trying to think of. I would like, and you can tweet at me at Chris McCaleb, or I'm also on Instagram at Chris McCaleb. I'm a lot more on Instagram. I rarely am on Twitter, but if you want to contact me, I would like legit recommendations for great movies, whether they're big or small, like that are in the last 2 years up to right now. Because I have really felt at a loss about films and about cinema and going and whether it's going to the movies or, on demand. I used to see lots and lots and lots of movies, and I feel like in the last few years I feel disconnected from it, and I am openly soliciting recommendations for great movies that I should give a chance to, because I want to be reconnected with the excitement of a movie story, like I was with Short Term 12 a couple years ago. Like that movie, I fucking love that movie. I love it.
Do you want to watch these Adam Sandler Netflix movies with me?
Only if you watch Jack and Jill.
Well, now
Brett,
I feel like
fool
we
me
could
3
do...
times. Fool me 8.
Before I found out that Owen had been dead for 3 years, we were going to do a Jack and Jill commentarium, and now I feel like we should probably do it, you and I, because...
I'm sorry, you were going to do that with someone else after you forced me to go see it by myself in Baton Rouge, where I think I said on this podcast, talking banter, that the lights came up and a girl behind me said to her friend, "That's the funniest movie I've ever seen." I took 4 pages of notes. I'm not even sure I could find those notes at this point, but
We'll find those notes, and we'll we'll do it for the old podcast.
If we first do a
For the listeners
podcast
at home,
about
Chris is now looking directly into the camera.
if we first do a podcast about Jack and Jill, I will watch what are there, 4 Adam Sandler movies?
Well, not yet. There's only 2 right now.
There's 3. There's the Ridiculous 6. There's the one where he's like a chef, and there's a do-over one.
No, what?
No,
what
there's
one where
another
he's
one.
a chef.
There's another. Nobody talked
You're talking about
it.
the cobbler?
The Cobbler.
That's not part of this Netflix deal.
Yes, it is. That's one of his Netflix movies.
No,
yes,
no.
it is. Yes, it is.
No,
Look it up.
Couldn't,
I
they
bet
couldn't
you.
place it in theaters.
I don't think so.
And then it came out in digital.
I don't think
What?
so because Netflix advertised it. We live in a city where they advertise movies on billboards.
We're going to get to the bottom of this. I feel like you're going to be on the wrong side of this. But I will say, when I get real confident about things on the podcast, I'm usually fucking wrong. So we'll see.
This podcast is rigged. It's rigged.
Next week. This podcast is brought to you by HD DVD Blu-ray High Def BBBBBBB. That's it. That's the podcast. We got more emails, but we'll get to them next week. And we got fan fiction coming. I see you.
Wait a second. Whoa. I just poured another glass of wine. And you're telling me it's done? That's right. That was terrible timing. There's not one more email you could read?
No, because old Brett.
Fair enough.
6 hours from now, I will be on set. I find a way to always schedule this podcast before I have to shoot
6 hours
something.
from right now?
Yeah.
You'll be somewhere at
5
a.m.
5's call, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I take B12. That's
I lied, me too, and I don't keep those kind of hours. That's bananas.
a miracle. Well, it's only one day this week that I have to do that.
Fair enough. I have to be there I have to be working with the director via a remote session, sort of like we're doing right now, but we'll be cutting at 10 a.m. But it's in Hollywood, so it's not close to where I live.
That's 11 hours, so you got plenty of time to finish that glass of wine.
Well,
and,
11 hours from right now, but it takes me almost an hour to get there, and it takes me a really long time. Guys, I'm looking for movie suggestions, and I'm also looking for if you have tips.
What's that, Twitter? The Chris McCaleb?
Just hit me on Instagram, at Chris McCaleb. Just send me a whatever. But I'm looking for movie suggestions, and I'm also looking for how to like wake up in the morning energized, like just go if you don't have like if you're just like I'm going to work. I need
some people don't
to, like
some
get
people
up and
don't
go.
can't ever do that.
Well, okay, but I have before, and when we were working together, Brett.
Oh,
on the on the hit third series of the CW's Prom Queen, The Homecoming, get up and go is not a problem. Anyway, if anybody has any suggestions about how to wake up in the morning, please let me know. This is a real question, by the way. I'm not joking.
Well, I'm not belittling the question. I just have a really important question.
Okay.
Do you think it would be easier for someone to find my college short film or any episode of Prom Queen, The Homecoming?
Well, probably easier to find Prom Queen, The Homecoming, because if you contact me on Instagram at Chris McCaleb, I could probably direct you to somewhere where you could actually look at them. But no, you're right. You're not wrong. No, but I could.
I don't even know where to see all of it.
You can't.
Okay.
Well, you could come over to my place, or I could just give it to you.
Okay.
It's at wetransfer.com and / no. But yeah, we're having fun.
Listen, we're having a really good time.
We're having a great time.
We're having the time that Steve and Mike were having at the end of 19.
It's
episode
like
19.
It's like the comedian Pete Holmes suggests, if you want to like bring a good time to a screeching halt, you just go, "Oh man, this podcast is McDonald's." I'm loving it.
That's how you should end the podcast. This podcast is McDonald's. Or should I edit in?
Oh shit! God damn it!
Should I? Owen used to always say "lights out." Should I just edit in an old version of Owen saying "lights out"? Would that?
Yeah,
be
but
creepy?
could you make it echoey? Because he's
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of like
with reverb?
ghostly. Both smash him.
Yes.
Yeah, could you give it like a? Yeah, give it an echo.
Yes, I love
give
that.
it. You know what? Give it the respect that Owen deserves.
And lights out.
That was a headgum podcast.